This is your midweek message. I hope you're doing well. This weekend is we approach Remembrance Sunday, and Friday is also the day 11th of the 11th that we stand in shared silence in solidarity. And it occurred to me that as we gather in silence, it made me think that actually war is far from silent. It is a noisy affair. It's full of shrill noises, and it shatters peace, literally and metaphorically. And I was remembering the war poets, the poems I used to teach as an English teacher, particularly Wilfred Owen's poem Anthem for a Doomed Youth, where he talks about the rifles and the sound of the shells are the bells and the choirs of those who are dying. That's their funeral. It's the sound of rifles and the sound of shells. So war is frighteningly noisy. It shatters, and it's a cacophony that brings great noise. And yet we gather in silence. And I came across Malcolm Geet's poem. It's often poetry that reaches parts that other prose can't reach, as I've said before. And Malcolm Geet's poem, it's called Silence. And in it, an act of remembrance. And in it, he's observing himself in that place of silence. And I want I'm going to read it, and I want you to just pick out just three little moments in it. The first one is that in our act as we gather together, remembering past wars, remembering the Great War, the Second World War, we're also reminded in our silence that war rages around us, that war is still ever present in our lives, and no more so than in the Ukraine as I speak. And the second one is a challenge. He challenges in our quiescence, he calls it our silence, in our quiescence, we must be careful that we don't slip into acquiescence, which is a sort of tacit acceptance or a passive acceptance of the way things are. That he says, no, we must watch out for that. Don't let our quiescence flow into acquiescence, which I think is a really startling point that he makes. And finally, listen out for the hope, the subtle hope that he says right at the end, where he says that it's the silence of Christ on the cross that brings perhaps an understanding or brings redemption, in fact, to the clamour and the bloodshed of war. Just listen out for that note of hope that comes in. And Jesus himself says, you will hear, it's a sound, you will hear war and rumours of wars, but do not be afraid, for I will come. So I'm going to read this poem. Listen out for those little features, and I hope that it's a blessing to you, and it'll provoke some thoughts as you prepare your hearts for the weekend and for remembrance, and again the hope that we have in Jesus. So this is called Silence, a sonnet for remembrance. November pierces with its bleak remembrance of all the bitterness and waste of war. Our silence tries but fails to make a semblance of that lost peace they thought worth fighting for. Our silence seethes instead with wraiths and whispers, and all the restless rumours of new wars. The shells are falling all around our vespers. No moment is unscarred. There is no pause. In every instant, bloodied innocence falls to the weary earth. And whilst we stand, quiescence ends again in acquiescence. And Abel's blood still cries in every land. One silence only might redeem that blood. Only the silence of a dying God. It's a weighty poem. Bless you. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you perhaps on Friday with our shared silence, and on Sunday at the Green. Have a great week.